What's up, y'all? Welcome back to ThrowBLKs, our show where we go way back and talk about some of our favorite albums in hip hop, rap, rock, pop, whatever it is. I'm J5 here with Josh Pease. What's good, Josh, on this wonderful Saturday morning? Shit, it's what we're doing early this morning.
Yeah, man. Just lazy Saturday. Getting to it. Um, About to clean up my house, but had
Wow.
to, had to throw it back real quick.
Pause.
Wow. Shoot. Come
Nice
on, man.
starting the weekend. Fuck it.
Yeah.
End of the summer.
Have you, Josh? Have you been at your house at all this summer? I feel like you've been gone like all summer. Like, have you
No,
even?
I've definitely been home, but doing a little bit of traveling. Just a lot of work travel, but you know, keeping it consistent. It's just this like motivational speaker named Ed Milet.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, don't let holidays turn into hollow months or hollow weeks.
Okay.
So, summer holidays are cool, but I'm trying to stay consistent, stay busy, stay working. So I'm
That's
here.
what, that's what I'm trying to do too, man. I've been trying to like go out. I'm starting to try and work out again. I said that every 3 months.
Drop
No,
off.
man, I'm starting to see a little bit of change. I'm feeling good, bro. I can't front, man. Like I've personally been almost hitting like a plateau where I'm like, man, I need to take it up a notch. Like today, I was like, oh yeah, it's time for me to like start eating way better. Like I've been eating cool, but
Yeah.
I still be like I had a burger yesterday. Like I'd be still kind of eating a little shitty sometimes, but now it's about to be like straight fucking green kale salads and smoothies and like,
Hey,
What happened to the roids?
oh, the roids are still in effect, bro. I'm getting bigger. Like I'm definitely. If I take my shirt off, I'm supposed to start breathing. Yeah, no, I just was starting to take it up a notch.
oh my god, man! No, it's always good to have that clean lifestyle and just that discipline. I think that's what I miss too is like that discipline. I'm trying to do that more and just take my mind off of external things I can't control. But also, I forgot to say, MC, you're here. You've been chiming in already. What's going on, MC?
Not much. End of the summer. I really feel like when SummerSlam happens, it's the end of the summer each and every year. So I'm
What is
just like kind of in a fall mindset right now. But I know we still got a couple weeks left of this shit. At least I can feel it outside.
Yeah, I wanted to grab my dropout bear fit, my mascot fit for today's episode of ThrowBLKs. Of course, as you see in the title, we're talking about Kanye West, late registration, 19 years old. Around the time that you guys are gonna be listening to this, turns 19. I've never felt more old than I did, kind of going back and remembering things from this period because at this time. I was going to college at this point. Like that, the day this came out, I was already at VCU at this time.
Really?
Yes.
That's nuts. Because 2005, what? I was in middle school. No, I'm sorry,
High
Oh, I
school.
say middle.
high school. I was in high school. I think about the first album was middle school for
Mhm.
me, for sure. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was in high school. Yeah. I was going to LA High. Walking
Yeah,
into
I remember this is deep cut Justin knowledge. The album had leaked the week before, and we'll talk about how many release dates this album had when we get into the episode proper. But the album had leaked in like the Wednesday or so before I had to go to VCU, and that's in Richmond, Virginia. I lived in Norfolk. I was like raw, like I'm about to get the fuck out the house. I'm ready to go. Like fuck this shit. This Norfolk shit is for lames. The score. I'm about to go to the city, nigga, for real. I got in the car. I'm listening to the album. I'm in the back seat weeping, bro. I'm crying and shit. I'm like, yo, I'm so fucking scared. What am I
Oh, of
doing?
college?
Yes, bro. That shit was scary. Like, I will never forget listening to this album for the first time. And it's like an hour long, and it takes around an hour to get to Richmond from Norfolk. And I listened to the whole thing straight through. And I was just like, bro, like, to me, I felt like this album was like, this is where my life is going to change. Like, this album felt like that to me. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. There's so many moments of this where I just remember where I was. And I think this is one of the albums that we talked about. We remember where you fucking were when this came out. So, of course, as I said just now, we're going back to 2005. We love this period. This is like the third album this year.
It's our bag. It's our bag. Early 2000s. I feel like even late. We tried to give 2010 some love. We're like, this is a little bit too.
It's not the same, bro. It's not the same. It's not the same, bro. Like I know I don't know if a lot of people are like, damn, they need to go to the 90s. I'm like we lived it, but we didn't really live the 90s shit. Like we like our formative years was here, right, Josh?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, you know, when I think about this album, this was literally my formative years. Like this kind of like shaped who I was gonna be as a man, and just like how I thought about the world, and like how I thought about college. Even like, I mean, Kanye's kind of whole ethos of just college dropout, and just like the way he kind of framed college for me, kind of turned me off on the idea of college. Like,
Right.
I don't know if I was ever like like had the mindset of like, oh, I'm about to go to college and join a frat and all that shit, but I know as soon as Kanye kind of like came out, it was like, oh, fuck all this shit. Like, I'm trying to do some other shit.
You know what was crazy is like there's two ways to read how he was talking about academics at the time, and like your thought of it is true. Like a lot of people thought like, well, if I could do it, you know what I'm saying? Well, fuck it. You know what I mean? I don't got to do it. From my perspective, in college, listening to him say "fuck college," I was just like, "Yo, I don't have to do this if I don't want to. This is like, this is a part of the journey, not like the end of it. You know what I mean?" And that's how I looked at it. And this was the first of what was supposed to be four academic albums. It was going to be College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation. It was going to be Good Ass Job. How heartbroken were we when he said, "I'm not doing good at job no more"? It's 808s a heartbreak.
I mean, honestly, I wasn't, because 808s was crazy. Like
Yeah.
that ushered in a whole just new generation of just like music and sonics. But and then like I said, I was kind of over the whole
Academic.
academia. Like it wasn't for me. Like I figured that out early on. So
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't too heartbroken.
Yeah, but like when we go back to that, and again, let's go into the history of Kanye West at this time. I mean, his career is spans 30 years at this point. I think he started in the early 90s, back in Chicago, and I usually do like a whole breakdown of this shit, but I'm like, this is fucking Kanye West. Like everybody, there's a fucking documentary on Netflix if you don't know what the
No.
fuck it's all about.
Yeah, just pull up Genius. Just pull up Genius if you need a little history lesson. Did you like Genius? Well, we have talked about it on like early Black Print, like the
Yeah.
first like 5 episodes of Black Prince. I think we have talked about it. Has it felt the same for you now, a couple of years removed?
I'm gonna be real. I think it's even more important that that's out there. And I mean, I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but I think it's an important. At least the first two parts are amazing to
Yeah.
me still. And I think I had that opinion when we talked about it before, because this is like rare footage that we ain't never seen. I still think about a conversation me and Josh had when they went to Kanye's mom house at 2 a.m. and she was drunk and she was trying to get everybody else drunk. You know what I mean? Like it just that time period is just a great capsule. I think looking at the last part and looking at how he is now, and just like I didn't really even want to like dip into what's going on with him literally this week, but it's like it's sad. I think my anger for what he does or what he's done is just turned into like sadness. Like I feel sad that we're not at this point, and I'm glad that we'll be able to celebrate this album on this episode. But I think that if you're looking for a really good story of why he is the way he is and how he became that way, like that documentary is it.
Yeah, no, it's a special documentary. I was just talking to someone recently, like, oh yeah, I'm about to go back and watch it. And it's like one of those docs where, you can go back and gain inspiration, and just like one of those ones that we'll always revere in our culture.
Mhm.
I think what Kanye is present day, I think we have to have a little more empathy. When we look at our stars in their later years, Prince, Michael Jackson, um, you know, the stardom kind of overwhelms their lifestyle, and
Mhm.
and I think that's what we're seeing with Kanye in real time. And I think because we don't agree with his politics or the way he presents himself or the way he speaks sometimes, we lose that empathetic feeling for him. But I think he's still someone who is very important to just society, not even just the culture, quote unquote. So I hope he gets well, and I hope whatever he's kind of dealing with, he gets over, because he is a genius, for lack of a better word.
And that genius, I mean, genius comes with the downfall of genius. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Just like you're too, like again, it's someone who's too talented, almost for his own good. You know what I mean? To
yeah,
a point where it could destroy you. You know what I'm saying? And we'll talk about it on this album, just how crazy it is and what it was. But started his career in the early '90s. He was actually one of the first producers signed to hip hop since 1978, which is like I think that's the management company that's still going today. I don't really know who's on their roster, but is Kanye still on their roster? I feel like he came back.
I don't think so. Kanye is Kanye. He
Yeah.
ain't on the roster at this point.
He
One day he's
manages.
independent, the other day he's on a roster.
No, he's definitely independent right now. Shit.
Yeah, yeah. I think the only reason that isn't it like because Atlantic had to let Ty get on it or something like that. I saw a story about that where just like
No, well, I mean, Ty's on the album, so it's like they have to figure out those splits. But yeah,
yeah,
Kanye's completely independent. Like it's straight. It's straight through a distributor. Similar to Distro Kid or some shit like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's a little better and a little more white glove, but very much that.
Yeah, and he was he went from there. He produced for Trina. He produced for Foxy Brown on her album, which is like, you're going way back at that point. And then he kind of gets his big break as a producer, even though he wanted to be a rapper at the time. But he gets his big break on Rockefeller, and he kind of breaks out on the Blueprint One. Blueprint One. I swear, if we ever do that album on ThrowBLKs, it's gonna be like 3 hours long. Like it's like it is legitimately my favorite album of all time, but one of those albums where it's like you look at that and you talk about time capsule, it's like, yo, everything he talks about on there, you're like, oh my god, I remember that shit. But he produced Takeover, Never Change. He produced like so many of my favorite songs on that album. And at that point, you're kind of like, okay, what else can he do? And I think at that point, that's when I was starting to get into his mixtapes. I'm Good had come out around that time.
Yep.
Classic mixtape. Like, what have you guys remember when you first heard I'm Good?
Yeah, I remember like just downloading it like off of one of these random mixtape sites, and like I remember the artwork and just like
Yeah,
the drawing. That's one thing about Kanye. The aesthetics were just always there.
always.
Um, and yeah, like I remember like the what was the shit he had with Lil Kim?
Came back for you.
No,
Yeah,
it was
Came
like
Back for You.
Dreams. Oh, Came Back for You was another
Yeah.
one he had too.
He raps over it, and I think it's called Dreams or something like that.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. See,
yeah,
no, like I don't know, man. Kanye was just one of them ones who like it was just a breath of fresh air, man. When he came through, it was like, oh, okay, like you can be a regular nigga and kind of
yeah.
still be fly and still kind of command respect. And that's just something I hadn't really seen from hip hop at the time.
Yeah, I mean, hip hop at that time, and you want to talk about his era in that period of time. We talked about Get Rich or Die Trying. It was the resurgence of gangster rap at that time,
Mhm.
and that was like the big thing there. It was Fat Joe, it was 50, it was Jadakiss, the Locks, all of them, D Block, all of them going crazy at that time. Kanye was really the only person like him. You know what I mean? In that moment, and I mean, you talk about conscious rap. We still had Mos Def active at that time. We still had Tyler Quali active. Common was active as well. But there was something different about Kanye in the sense that he was a conscious dude in the middle of all these street rappers. And I put on the notes the Dream Team mixtape, and right around the time when Paid in Full came out, 2002, and they play this in Virginia all the time. I don't know if that was on radio where you guys were at, where they played the Champions song, and Kanye gets the first verse on that. And
Yeah,
everyone just like, there's no fucking way this guy is rapping like this. And he made the beat at the time, and it was unheard of because at that time Swiss Beats wasn't rapping over his beats. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a lot of people that were doing that, and especially around those other people. But he shows up on that mixtape, and I always think of that moment where it's like, okay, he's fucking serious. Where can I find more of his music at? And that was just such a crazy song.
yeah. No, no, no. I'm glad you touched on that because that's what it was big for him. Was just like once you start to hear him and like he kind of was dipping in and like there's only like a few mixtapes and verses here and there. It's like where can I find more music?
Yeah,
And it was just a hunt for like Kanye mixtapes and Kanye verses and Kanye beats, and like that was like, oh, like it started to shape who he was as an artist to me. Like this
yeah,
producer who was also a great rapper and also had great style. I think that's one thing that set him apart from like the conscious rappers that were out at the moment. It was just a style. Like when you look at Common, Mos Def, Talib, like they didn't look cool,
right.
and Kanye looked cool. He had the polo shit, and just like you would see him behind the scenes of like videos, or like you would catch him like studio footage of him like
Yeah,
early YouTube days, and you'd be like, oh, like he actually looks fly, like he looks dope.
yeah.
Um, and that was just something that I just gravitated towards.
Like the stand up video for Ludacris. I'll never forget his cameo in that. He has the
Mhm.
backpack on in the club with the chain, and the collar popped up, and he's just staring at the camera. And I was just like, that shit was so fucking hard to me. Like, go back and look at this Ludacris stand up video. And shout out to Ludacris too, because he always made sure that he put Kanye, or he did some with Kanye beats at the time, where he actually showed love to Kanye. And I thought that was awesome because it was weird with them, right? Because I think weren't they both born in Chicago or something like that? Like, and Luda went to Atlanta,
Yeah,
and then
Louis from Chicago. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so they were both born there, and they had that connection as well. But and to your point, like the style was just so different because what set it off? It was the Rockefeller chain every time. Because at the time, Jay was wearing throwbacks. What I say throwbacks? Beans was wearing fucking army camo down shit with the rock chain. Kanye would come out in a pink polo with the Rockefeller chain on, or Jesus piece, and that was like what everybody wanted. I'm gonna be real. It was Jay to me, Kanye, and Memphis Bleak. who made the rock chain what it was. Because Memphis Bleak would always have like 8 of them bitches on.
Remember the 534 cover? I was like, these shits look kind of crazy.
It's hard. 534 cover, one of the hardest hip hop covers of all time, yo. Period. Just because of
Yeah,
the little shit that he did with it. Was that some like gang type shit? What are you trying to say, bro?
some Brooklyn shit maybe. The thing that stood out to me about Kanye was just like beyond the chain. It was just the style, like this the stack polos with the
Yeah,
collar up, the multicolor polos. Like that was the time when like I was still developing my like personal style. So I remember having like I'll never forget like when he first started bubbling. I remember having like a red Rockaware like sweater, but it
yeah,
was like a very collegiate type sweater. It was crazy, and like I remember I had it, and then one day I wore it like over a polo with the polo over like the collar up.
yeah,
Oh, like I just remember that outfit so vividly, and just how it shocked the school, and it was
yeah.
just like oh shit, like this that I can honestly say where I was at in school, like I ushered in what that Kanye style was at my. It was like middle school for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but I just was like, damn, like I remember wearing that outfit and being like, oh, this is about to be a start of something new for me.
But I
And then
think
I just went polo crazy. Like I was just every weekend at the mall buying a different polo or getting some polo, some pants, some fucking
yeah.
socks, anything, just because to build my collection.
Hey, listen, that shit had us. Come on, every single time, bro. That one thing about it in 2005, we ain't had the money that we have today. So I was wearing any type. I was wearing Lacoste. I was like, if I could get Lacoste, like I'm gonna buy that. I'm trying to because the thing is, I went from a sharp like I was dressing trying to be like Cameron one day, and then like a sharp like left. And I'm trying to be like Kanye at this point. You know what I mean? Like, he changed how young people wanted to do things, and I think like at the time, you think about everyone that was popping at that time, like people was dressing like Kanye or people dressing like Lil Wayne, or people dressing like Jay Z. Like I feel like the way that hip hop and music in general broke down style is just so different from how it is today. Like I feel like a lot of what we do today is so homogenous. Like everybody kind of does like the same type of thing. There's like very few people that are kind of doing it differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, or they're just reaching back to the past to grab styles. Like at that time, you could grab a style from anywhere, and so that's what made Kanye stand out because he didn't have a region. It didn't look like a region. It didn't look like a phase or anything. Like he made it really his own, and that's why we loved him so much at the time. But we get into College Dropout. Where do we stand on that? Is that still to y'all like his best album? I know we've had this conversation with Blacklist where it's like we got to figure out the best Kanye album of all of these 10 albums that he has.
Hmm.
Where does that stand for y'all right now in terms of Kanye albums?
I mean, it's not my favorite. I love College Dropout, but I love Late Registration, and I
Yeah,
love My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Like, so
yeah.
it's like I don't think College Dropout is my number one, but it just set the stage, man. Like, so it's like always gonna be highly revered.
I feel like well, obviously my Kanye album rankings they cut off at a certain point. Obviously, I've come around to Pablo a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I actually have come around to that
Okay.
in the past couple years because I hated it, but I've actually come around to it. Like maybe the version 2, 3. What version is it on? I'll come around to it. I would have to say Dropout is probably on like top 5, but it's sliding
Definitely.
as the years go by. Like it's sliding as the years go by. So maybe I don't know. Maybe, like other albums of his, like when I listen to this, I'm like, oh shit, this aged like fine fucking wine. Other than a couple of like points, and we'll get into it when we run through the tracks. But it landed Kanye West on the top of the world. I mean, he was like it was one of the best selling albums of that year. He was on tour with Usher at that point, and I mean, at this point, he's basically it was like a I told you so moment. He was unburdened kind of by what people said about him before. Like before College Dropout came out, people could never believe this, and people probably won't believe it today. People did not think he could do it. People thought this would flop. It
Oh yeah, no, College Dropout was definitely
it was a risk.
yeah, it's just like, all right, we're gonna throw this rapper shit out, like, see what happens. Like,
Yeah,
it definitely wasn't supposed to be. And I think, he touched on that a lot in the documentary, Genius. But but yeah, I was ready for it. I was like, oh
yeah,
yeah, I was so excited when the album came out. Like, I remember I bought like, because it was like a deluxe edition or like there was like a special cover
yeah.
edition. I bought both of them motherfuckers. I was like, I need it all.
And again, we talk about this a lot. We talked about it in the Eminem episode as well. The disc, the packaging.
Hmm.
It's a lost art, and he's always had great packaging on his music. But he went on tour with Usher that summer. I went to that tour, the Truth tour. Um, I
Let's
don't know
call
why.
Truth Tour. Was Usher's tour called Truth? Oh, Confessions. Yeah, there
Confessions.
we go.
Yeah, it's called the
Smart.
Truth Story. He showed up at Hampton Coliseum at the time. Shout out to all my people out in 757. Very small place, but he was already kind of switching his style over to late registration style at that time. So I was already like, okay, he seems to be kind of in between styles, and naturally he was like he had largely outsold a lot of his peers that year with College Dropout. A lot of people that said he couldn't do it, and during this tour, he claimed to have had 75% of late registration done before he scrapped everything and he said, I'm gonna restart everything. One thing about late registration, there are not a lot of songs on this album that we had heard lyrics from before. A lot of College Dropout we had heard on his mixtapes before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He a lot of those verses. Late registration did not have that. Like I guess that luxury at all. A lot of this was going to be new music, so he reached out to John Bryan, who had worked with people like Fiona Apple, and on movies like Magnolia and Punch Drunk Love to help him craft the sound of late registration. John Bryan is a cold motherfucker. Okay, he's only really worked with Kanye before, I think, in rap before, and I think that's the only rapper he's ever worked with. He brought on a variety of different instruments to late registration, including like an orchestra and all of that. And they mixed it with Kanye samples. When we talk about the sound of this fucking album, and we'll talk about this a lot on late registration. I listen to it now and I'm like, this don't sound like a hip hop album. This sounds like a fucking movie. It sounds like a classical album in a lot
Mhm.
of sense. Like it just doesn't sound like anything we've ever heard before, and I still think to this day we've never heard anything like this before.
Funny enough, the movie that ends up influencing him ends up being something that Bryan was involved with, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, a movie, thankfully, that I have seen. If you have not heard the soundtrack, it's available wherever you listen. Listen to that soundtrack, hear the instruments in it. It's what influenced Kanye to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go that same route for College Dropout. Let me try and see if I could bring a little bit more instrumentation in that. But it was influenced off the Jim Carrey movie.
That's a depressing ass movie too. One of
Yeah.
the It's sad as fuck. But I mean, again, Kanye had kind of truly kind of like in the game at that point, it was a bunch of chipmunk samples. It was chipmunk samples and fucking sped up whatever like the dramatics or the fucking supreme samples at that time. Everyone was doing the same kind of thing. He said, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna have John Bryan reproduce all of these, and I'm gonna actually kind of like have my own shit where my shit could be sampled one day, because a lot of these songs don't even really sound like they have samples on it other than like the obvious ones. So like he had okay, I'm gonna name off all these instruments, okay? So John Bryan had amassed a 20-piece orchestra, 360 digital keyboard, guitars, piano, brass, gospel choirs, a harpsichord, and that's like only like 5 or 6 of the things that he had in this album. You can hear all the
Mhm.
influences. There's some shit on here I can't even fucking pronounce. But in case you didn't know, this album cost $2 million to make. I don't know how much that would cost today, but I'm pretty sure it would be a lot higher for like if you adjust it for inflation, it's probably like $6 million today, low key.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you can kind of. I mean, it sounds like an expensive album, and you think, the interludes and like how the interludes have music behind it. Like, it definitely wasn't. No, no, it wasn't. It was definitely taken care of the right way. Like when
Yeah,
you think about albums and you think about like what people are putting out. I mean, nowadays and at that time, it was like, oh, we just gonna rap over some beats and put it out.
yeah.
This one's like, yo, like we care about the mix, we care about the master. Like it was a lot of elements that went into this.
And nothing came out unless it was perfect. Because I think if there's anything to say about this album, it's polished. Like it's
Mm.
polished from the beginning to end. It's fucking polished. There's no mistakes on this. No fuck ups. No. I'll be right back. I got to go edit this shit. Like it's just a lot different than how he makes music today. You know what I mean? Like it was very much like you could tell like he was like, I'm not putting this out to the last mix is correct, but it's like it was correct here. And I think there was a lot of people that might have been like, okay, it's perfect. Stop touching it. You know what I mean? And it's not how people. I mean, especially him makes music today. So the album took aesthetics of like really popular hip hop and made them kind of like analog. Like it didn't sound like digital at all. It all sounded like it was being hand played or it was played by hand. You know what I mean? So songs like We Major and Late, Crack Music, all of those sound completely different. Like there's nothing on here that sounds exactly like anything before. I like to think that like at this point, as much as we love them and we love all these artists, 50 Cent and Jay and old Jay retired at this point, but a lot of these people were making music that largely sounded like you could have just it sounded interchangeable. You couldn't even make up what it was, and Kanye was doing something like extremely different. So like as far as themes on this album, it was what religion, of course, because he talked about it all the time. Politics, American healthcare, the American healthcare system, and one thing that I don't think we talked about on the show, at least not at length about, and that's the Rockefeller breakup. I think a lot of people don't recognize this too. Kanye West was the breadwinner for this label at the time when this album came out. Jay Z had retired a year before this. He was president of Def Jam, and at the point they were going through the Rockefeller divorce. And I think like in terms of just like topics on the album, this one was like the most kind of like narratively on time for people that love hip hop because we were right in the middle of Dame and Jay having their own little civil war at that time when they were just like, okay, I'm going to take Petey Crack, and then Jay said, well, okay, I'm going to take, oh,
They did a draft.
yeah, I'm gonna take everybody else. I'm gonna take everybody fucking else. And Rockefeller Split had a really big kind of issue, like not issue, but a really big effect on Kanye because Dame was the one who believed in him. He always says this. Dame was the one who put the album out. But Jay is my favorite rapper of all time, and he talks about that on the album. And I think listening back to it, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird the way he talks about it because just like, all right, but you cool with both of these niggas, and you having Jay basically kind of do a victory lap on the fact that he took Rockefeller away from everybody.
I mean, shit. It's a civil war today. They're fighting over reasonable doubt today,
Yeah,
trying to find somebody to buy that 1/3. I don't even think Kanye even speaks about as much things as we hear from Kanye news and headlines. I don't even think he speaks about wanting that third, who should own that third. The choice that he had to make 19, 20 years ago. That ends up being something difficult that now we are seeing literally 2 decades later. You see the ripple effects of it.
I think he's just kind of done with that era in general. I think that's probably why he was like, Jay's gonna get it. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know what people would try. Like Jay's gonna get that last third. It's gonna be his again. The only reason Damon has to give it up is because he isn't it to pay his legal fees or some shit like that.
Yeah, I don't even. That's funny. The third shit I think about, I'm like, do people even care? Like, I know the rights to Reasonable Doubt, the album, revert back to Jay, and like, it's like after 30 years, so it's
Mhm.
like probably like a couple, like 10 years away.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like I don't know what is without Reasonable Doubt, what is a third of Rockefeller LLC
Yeah.
worth?
Today, like nothing. You know what I mean? It makes it kind of sad to that this is, and I don't even think Jay has really talked about kind of the ending of the whole thing in his raps today. But Kanye is kind of like the eulogy of the late of what it was at that point, and that was on this album. And
Mm-hmm.
for anyone who wasn't around at that time, like or anyone who just big fans now, it's like Rockefeller was a big fucking deal. I don't think we've ever seen another rap label like that today, where it just captured the zeitgeist of young black males. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody had, again, we talked about earlier, everyone had a different style. Like it was a state property style, diplomat style, Jay-Z style. Like everybody had a different style on that label. And, at the time it seemed like there was no ego, but you know how that type of thing goes. But um, Kanye would make his own controversy just days after his album released. He goes on the telethon for Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina happened literally like I want to say the week of or the week after this album actually released. So he goes on a telethon and he's there with Mike Myers. And Mike Myers says like this long guy. I had to watch it the other day. Mike Myers says like this long ass like monologue about shit. And then Kanye says, dead face, deadpan, George Bush does not care about black people.
They cut to Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker's like, oh fuck.
Chris Tucker's like,
It's so funny because like nowadays, if someone went on air and was like Joe Biden doesn't care about black people, no one would even bat an eye. It's,
It's the 18th. It's the 18th thing on the news if that
Yeah.
happens.
it's a tame thing to say. Like he didn't say like fuck George Bush. He's just like George Bush don't care about black people. And honestly, it was absolutely correct. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like that's why like again, empathy, man. We look at all the crazy things he says now, and certain things he says as of late, the last couple of years, that have kind of come true, and we've kind of seen in different ways. So it's like, I don't know, man. I just
I, th-
I want to have empathy for Kanye because I think his heart's in the right place.
I think we thought nothing of it at the time because this is like his first major public snafu, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the first one, but I think people were just like, I think a lot of people give him like chances. They're just like, okay, he's just wilding. All right, he's wilding, and then it gets to like slavery is a choice. It's like, all right, nigga, like what's going on? This is a far cry from
Yeah,
George.
the Brit Award shit when he's just like, I couldn't win this award. I think most people were like, all right, he's just passionate about like he's just passionate about the shit that he's doing. But this was like the first heavy, like the entire nation looking at what you are, or at what you just said. Obviously, was there like a? I don't even know what it, because obviously, so many other areas in the country have their own experience. What was the Katrina experience like in Virginia or in Los Angeles?
Man, that shit was fucking crazy. Because first I had family in Baton Rouge, so it
Oh, yeah.
wasn't they weren't rocked, but it was like close enough to where everyone from New Orleans went to
Yeah, to
Baton
get
Rouge.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, but it was really crazy here because a lot of people from New Orleans came to Los Angeles, and
Hmm.
I'll never forget. It was a bunch of like Katrina refugees at my high school. This is when I was at Hollywood High,
yeah.
and man, I wish I was still in contact with this one chick because she was bad as hell. Oh my god, got the
She had an
crazy little
accent.
accent. Oh my god, thick as shit. Oh, it was like anyway. Um, yeah, it was just a lot of little. It was a lot of just refugees, and they were just around and just like hearing their story and just hearing about all they had to go through and coming to Los Angeles and living in hotels. Like it was hard. It was tough for them. So yeah, it was definitely. I felt the effects of it just because I was close to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, how was it in Virginia? Were people coming from New Orleans to Virginia?
Nah, but I was
They were going to Houston. That's Houston up.
they was for sure going to Houston, but I think I was at school at that time, so they had like they had like setups where you could like go donate money and shit like that. Like
Mhm.
they had like little like donate canned goods and stuff like that. They had that around our campus or whatever, which was kind of cool. I'd actually gone to the grocery store and donated like some canned goods at the time, just because I like again I was like the first kind of social issue that I was old enough to know like that was serious, and I was old
Yeah,
enough to like, be involved in. And it actually made me feel like okay, I have to do something, or like this feels right to do. I think mostly like the effect of that is like seeing. I mean, effect on me just as a consumer of media was like how it affected Lil Wayne at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't get the full breadth of what was going on until Lil Wayne explained it on like Georgia Bush, and
Mhm.
explained it on all of his songs on his mixtapes and stuff like that. And it what you would think an artist like that would have like very little to say or to do with anything like that, but he was very vocal about all of that at the time. And I think that showed me like what it was in Virginia, because I had no viewpoint of what it was. We were like, we get hurricanes out here all the time, but not like fucking that. You know what I'm saying? Like not like that. It was crazy.
No, New Orleans is still fucked up to this day from
Yeah.
Katrina. Like,
Mhm.
no, there's still places that haven't rebuilt, still places that like abandoned homes that were flooded and they just left them. Like, I was out there last year and I was like, damn, this shit, you can still feel the effects of this shit.
Yeah, you know that show with Bryan Cranston, what's it called? The Judge, where he's like the judge. For
Oh yeah, Your Honor.
it takes place there, and they
Yep.
oh,
film
okay.
a lot of the stuff around those wards, and you could still see like huge swaths of places that are just uninhabited and just empty. You know what I mean? And there's just land out there, and it's a sight to see. I want to go to New Orleans one day too. I got to make that happen, because
Nice, man. Good food, good people.
I got to go check it out. But late registration was originally set to be released on July 12th, 2005. It was pushed back to August 16th and then August 30th, but it leaked a week before on file sharing websites. Of course, as with everything in that age, it leaked. There was a fake leak at first. It only had a couple of the songs, and not all of it. I think it didn't have the last 5 songs on it. And then after a couple of days, it had it, and people thought that "Late" either a bonus or a fake song, but it was actually the real last song because it had "We Can Make It Better" on there. So I guess whoever leaked the bonus first, and nobody knew if "Late" was on the regular version or not. But "Late" ends up being the last song on the album. But um, it debuted at number one with 860,000 copies, even, which is kind of crazy, selling over 600,000 copies more than the number two album, which was Tony Yayo's "Thoughts of a Predicate Felon."
Also a great album.
Yeah, another heater. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good album.
He was putting the belt to G-Unit ass before he said, I'm gonna work my way up to the final boss, dog." Because he does it again in 2007.
Yeah, the Yale album was kind of thrown out though. I don't want to compare that. He had just got out of jail. It was like a whole thing. So
John,
selective is a record though.
thank you. So Seductive was the New York record at the time. What you talking about?
But I mean, shit, it wasn't compared like to fucking what were the Kanye singles? It was uh,
Diamond, Gold Digger.
Diamond.
Gold digger.
fucking yeah, Gold Digger. Come on, like
Touch the Sky.
yeah, come on,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Touch the
like
Sky. Come on, like it ain't nothing on thoughts of a predicate felon
I mean,
touching that.
there was a lot of G Unit belt to ass that summer. Obviously, Games dropping 3 mixtapes also that summer. That so tough time to be a G Unit fan summer '05, but also a fun time.
Yeah.
50 had just dropped a couple months before that too, right?
So the Massacre would have came out. It was
February.
supposed to be Valentine's Day. What did it come out like March or so? I want to say. And
Yeah.
then in between that summer, while Game is trying to completely destroy everything, they're still dropping G Unit radios. They signed Mob Deep, signed
Yep.
MOP.
Mhm.
They're getting prepared for Get Rich or Die Trying the movie,
Movie.
which
Yeah.
is end of the year. So that soundtrack's coming out. So a lot of things going on while Kanye is also uh, championing his way to get a lot higher in the rap scene.
Think about how balanced releases were back then, man. We don't. I feel like we don't have that balance today either. Where one thing that's completely diametrically different than the other thing could do really well. Like I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of things are like kind of the same that do well or the same that come out. Like it's just interesting to see. Again, the number two album, even though it wasn't 800,000, Tony Yayo was still selling 250,000 that year. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like he was still doing pretty well for himself. You know, being the fourth rung on the G Unit. Well, at that point he was third. He had to get moved up because Game was gone, but he was the third string at that time. So let's get into the album. Late Registration, first song, Wake Up, Mr. West. That's one thing. What is this a knock on the album, or is it? Do you think it was handled better than College Dropout? The skits. There are still a lot of skits on this fucking album.
I don't mind the skits. The skits tell a story. They definitely kind of move it along. I even think about Wake Up Mr. West and how I went in and heard him say like the echo, like I don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, like when you skip to that song, you still hear the echo from the damn
Yeah.
intro in there. But the first song is called "Heard Him Say." This song actually has a really interesting and cool story behind it. Kanye meets Adam Levine. They share, I think, a plane ride together. He plays some of the song for Adam Levine. He creates the actual chorus in that moment, sends it back to Kanye after he lands, and then the song is what it is. This really is John Bryan in his bag with all of the harpsichords and the melodies in it.
Yeah, there's crazy melodies in there. That song is fucking really fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's just again, Kanye, man, like he's made some of the most impactful music in my lifetime for
Mhm.
sure. And the songs are just I kind of like they remind me of moments, but then they also just speak to moments in time and speak to moments of who I was. And Heard Him Say is one of those records. I also think he did the Heard Him Say verse on like Def Poetry Jam, was it?
Yep. No, he did. Didn't he do?
Bittersweet. He did Bittersweet
I
Poetry,
think
and he did
Bittersweet.
All Falls
Heard Him
Down when it
Say,
was super early.
Heard Him Say came out early somewhere. I feel like maybe I'm just tripping, but
I think you're right. I think you're right. It came out in some shape or form without the Adam Levine part and with a different beat.
yeah,
Um, there were a couple of, and I'm going to say this earlier. There were a couple of on the cutting room floor type things that were there, but never anything like fully like actually released. But Heard Him Say was one of the first things we heard from because I think it actually landed in a. I wanted someone to correct me from this period. There was a commercial that had it in it at one point, and that was the only thing we had heard from the album. Oh no, it was the remember when Apple did they did previews. That's how
uh,
we heard it. Apple used to do previews of the songs on iTunes before the albums came out, and
Oh,
this is one of the
okay.
previews. So they don't do that anymore, but that's probably because artists send their shit in 6 hours before it's supposed to go out on streaming at that point. But so some of the verse on here, R. Kelly reference on here, "Step in the Note," it's name of the love, like Robert say. And I know the government administer AIDS is just straight up like he just throws it out there.
Oh, that, hey,
There
do
it
with it
is.
what you will.
he might not be wrong, but you know,
He was smoking some of the most deaf weed during this. Mad conspiracy theories are to say, yo.
you know this, and that's I mean, I'm gonna keep going back to this with Kanye. It's like maybe he's wrong, maybe he's right, but like I think as a culture, we were just like just going with the flow and not really thinking critically about things. So when he's throwing out these crazy little theories and like just random ramblings, I'm
Yeah,
like, oh okay, like at least let me go dig deeper and think about it rather
yeah.
than just accepting the world and life as it is.
And one thing I want to mention also, D. Ray Davis does all the skits on here. He does a fantastic job. I think I have one that's my favorite more than the other, but he does all the skits on here. Second verse, one of my favorite verses of his of all time. Because again they say people in your life are seasons, and anything that happens is for a reason. And niggas gun clapping to keep the squeezing, and Grant keep playing and keep believing. Come on, man. The flow, the pocket he was in on that shit,
Man, just
elite.
just special. Like really one of the best rappers. Like, and it's crazy that like how far he's fallen at this point. But yeah,
That's I say you don't even just listen to this, just be sad. Like, who is not to say that a person in their late 20s should be the same exact person as the people as somebody in their 40s, but you just feel the difference
Here's my
in these two
thing.
people.
LL Cool J. I'm gonna be real. My wife had the what was it called? Proclivities. She was like watching the Proclivities video with LL
That's a record.
and Sweetie, and like it's ass.
the
But
record is crazy.
yeah,
I
like
wouldn't even dare
Here's
listen to it.
for LL wise, would you expect LL to have something to that level in his what is it? Was it 40 years in the game?
my point with that is, I'll say LL didn't get worse at rapping as he got older. He's still very much he's still in like the 80s 90s pocket, but he never got worse. You know what I'm
I'll
saying?
never hear it.
Huh?
I'll never hear the song. It's crazy.
I'm just saying in general, like LL is not, it's still a good rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like regardless of if the song is ass or not, you still know he's gonna like he's still gonna be on beat. He's not gonna be mumbling and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna be rapping. Like I think that I'm not saying that I expect a late 20s person to be the same as a early 50s, late 40s person, but I don't expect him to get worse at rapping at that
Yeah,
point. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like, some people are gonna be good at rapping forever. Like Drake's still gonna be good at rapping. Kendrick's gonna be good at rapping. Future's gonna be good at rapping until he's whatever age. Like no one really regresses. You know what I'm saying? There was a period where we thought Wayne regressed, and look at where he is now. You know what I mean? He's like right back to kind of where we love him at, and it is sad. You know what I'm saying? Because this song in general, of course, too. I mean, shout out to Adam Levine. Like the one Adam Levine thing I like in life.
Really, is this it?
I mean,
You don't like the
No
Maroon 5?
Maroon 5 bag?
This has
that
taken
was
At
good.
least this love.
on
That
me.
was good.
That's a record.
I like what's that song? A little more. I just need a little of your time. I like that record. That was from the second album, I think.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, I got Sunday Morning. I got Harder to Breathe. I got obviously This Love.
Harder to Breathe is like some Linkin Park ish type shit. Like, Harder to Breathe was like, I go listen
You
to
think
Linkin
that's
Park.
them job by Linkin Park?
Yeah, it is. Come on, man.
They
All
got
right,
they got other records before it started really getting popish. But Adam Levine keeps a harmony on them.
next song, Touch the Sky. We call this the Lupe Fiasco 40-point game. That's what we call this one. If you hadn't heard, and the thing with Lupe at this point, this was his first major feature ever.
Yep.
Rapper from Chicago. One day we got to do one of his albums because I got a take for him or a take on him. But this is a huge. I mean, produced by Just Blaze. A lot of people thought at the time, at least when the forums that I frequented, people thought Just Blaze and Kanye had beef. And I mean, if you look at the fucking documentary, they probably did with the with the, with the way that Kanye was talking to that nigga. But samples Curtis Mayfield's "Move On Up." Again, also has John Bryan doing orchestral shit under it, which makes it not just a sample. Like it's so much more of a fuller song with all that orchestration in it. But Kanye and Lupe, man, what were y'all like? What were y'all? Your opinions of Lupe when you first heard this? Because at that point, like I heard him, and everybody was like, "You don't know what the fuck Lupe Fiasco is?" I'm like, "Nigga, no!" Like,
No,
Exactly.
this is
I
my
was that
first
guy. Like,
time.
you know about Lupe? I was early on Lupe.
yeah,
Excited for Lupe. I was like, oh, this when that happened, I was like, oh, he's arrived. Like that's
yeah,
the crazy part is like Kanye to Lupe, like it was like, oh, regular niggas is about to get they just doing this rap shit.
yeah,
Yeah, he smoked that verse, man. Like just the shit he was referencing anime and just talking like just shit that was just like it didn't have to be gun shit. It didn't have to be drug shit. It was just like, whoa, we just talking about being fly and dope ass video. Yeah, that's one of those records for sure.
Guess who's on third? Lupe still like looping the third. I said, "Oh wow, he's just like me for real." Like,
Yeah, yeah.
well, what an opening line! Like he's just like me for real. He's watching that shit, bro. Come as correct as a porn star and a fresh pair of steps in my best foreign car. Come on, man. This kid he was special. He was special back then, man. He really was, yo. But
Yeah.
even with Kanye, like, I'm gonna be real. Kanye is the reason I wanted to make beats. I was making beats around this time on a cracked Fruity Loops. this time. Cracked FL3, I think it was, and I was making beats because I wanted to be like this nigga. And the second verse is like what I was like. This is my life right here, bro. Like me and my girls split the buffet at KFC. Like that's my life at this point. You know what I mean? Like I felt like at that point there was no real rappers that were speaking to us, like as we were as like kids in our early 20s, late teens, and like that. This second verse is like, damn man, these niggas that much better than me. You know what I mean? Like that's how niggas was feeling. Like I was like, bro, I'm about to make these beats. I'm about to come up on shit, everything. Like I remember I don't even think I told y'all this. Like I used to make beats and I had sent a bunch of beats to Jay Mills because it was on Twitter. Back in the day, he was looking for beats. And I sent beats to Jay Mills because I was like, I could get on a Lil Wayne tape. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That could be my blow up. And I actually was talking to one of his guys, and I had like correspondence with them on the phone and shit. And I sent them the beats, and they never used them. But I can say like I was this close to getting a placement. I was a sophomore in college, bro. I was this close to getting a placement on a Jay Mills mixtape, and
You
that's
could
why.
have had a most hated chain.
Well, I got a mixtape.
Oh, okay.
I got a
tape's,
mixtape.
a tape's good too.
I produced and rapped the whole thing.
Well, I have to hear this.
So wait, when the beats like chopping up soul?
Yeah, I made Brian's heard it. Brian's heard the mixtape.
That's funny.
Brian heard it. That's how long I've known Brian. That's how long I've known him. I have a mixtape. I don't. You have to go on the internet. You have to try and find it because
we're not gonna be able to find. It's hard enough to find. It's hard enough to find rapper shit in these instances.
I don't know who might still have it. I really don't. I think it might still be on my mom's old Dell computer if it will actually turn on. But I have a mixtape. It's like 8 songs. I produced the whole thing, and it came out around 808s, and I just gone through a breakup. My girl had cheated on me, and I was like, I'm about to turn up, and I made like 8 beats in like 2 weeks, and I recorded them in my closet. I thought I was him, bro. I really thought I was Kanye, bro.
Oh, man.
You never know. Could have hit the same. Could have blew up the same way. Late 2000s. But then again, think about late 2000s. You got to think about how deep of a fan base he had on the internet of what he built. We brought up the tapes earlier. I'm just like, yeah, he might not have had a G Unit radio, but he definitely tapped in with a lot of the artists that he had and say, look, we're gonna rap over Milkshake. I'm gonna remind y'all, hey, don't forget, I produced this for DMX. And he puts that on the tape, so on and so forth. So he kept in the lanes of like Diplomats Volume 1 through 5, all the G Unit radios, and that really built like the internet presence to be able to have a website like Kanye to them and go on there where you have like rabid fans going there looking for music.
Before that, he had Kanye University.
Yep.
University. Yep.
Website. Kanye I don't even think that's an official website. That's just like
not. No. I'm talking about like from a rap forum perspective of just like rabid fans that are on a forum talking about you, talking about your music, talking about here's the old shit that he had from 01. Let's all wait for him to do his interviews. Let's post his.
Kanye is one of the first rappers that blogged.
Yeah.
He's one of the first rappers that got on stream too. He was one of the first niggas that did. Like, sorry, Soldier Boy, but what he did. But that was Touch the Sky. Fantastic song. I mean, I just had to talk about the fact that this song was what made me want to become a producer. Like, I was like, I used to get I got the DJ Toomp drum pack at the time because he was my favorite producer at the time too. I got the Pimp C drum pack and I got the Kanye drum pack with all of the bongo sounds. And I would just use that on everything. And the snare, that Kanye snare.
Yeah.
That snare, like I had that snare too. So if y'all can find that, then
I just remember the anticipation for the video and just how big MTV made the debut. Because we had to wait a good minute. The Touch the Sky didn't become a single until like months later. So waiting for the video was something that was just like huge. And obviously the video ends up being a classic if you've never seen it before somehow.
Well, it wasn't a single because this had actually dropped a month before the album. Gold Digger with Jamie Foxx. Of course, Jamie Foxx playing Ray Charles. They had to interpolate it. They had to actually get him to replay the sample so that they could get it out of there. But Gold Digger this is potentially one of his biggest singles ever. I know that he's had. What is his biggest single? It's still Stronger, right?
Stronger, probably.
Stats wise,
it has to be Stronger, right? Yeah, let's get a fact check on that. But Gold Digger. Are we tired of this song, or is it still? I mean, it still rings off. It's like
Nah,
like a white
this is
club
good.
song now. It's a white club song now.
It is. It's just a universal song. Gold Digger is one of them. Is a great fucking record though. Like just the sample or interpolation, the what
Yeah,
he's talking about, like prophecies. Honestly,
yeah.
um, it's crazy, man. Like that record.
Prophecies for himself.
Yeah,
Yep.
For himself. I mean, his pocket in the first verse, cutie the bomb met her at a beauty salon with a baby Louis Vuitton under her underarm. So I could tell you, Rock, I could tell by your charm. For us girls, you got a flock. I could tell by your charm and your arm. Come on. He was one of the best. You could make an argument he was one of the best rappers in the game this year.
oh yeah, definitely,
This year. Like
definitely.
he was up there, man. Like he's like, again, Gold Digger, one of these favorite songs, or one of these songs on the album that, again, doesn't sound like your traditional pop record. It sounds very like baroque and very classical, in style, but it resonated because the rapping's so good. The like to your point, Josh, the fucking interpolation so good. Jamie Foxx was a fucking huge star at this
I was
time.
gonna say that moment, like just between Gold Digger and Slow Jams, like it was a lot.
Mhm.
Just Jamie propelled those records.
Yeah, and even in between Slow Jams and Gold Digger, he'd become a bigger artist. He was actually doing solo albums at that time,
Yep.
uh,
Mhm.
and he super fucking. Hey, listen, "Blame It on the Alcohol," one of the best songs
Of all time for you?
of all time, bro. "Blame It on the Alcohol" and "College Parties." Come on, man.
And he just did Ray at that time.
Yes, and
Yep,
that's
yep.
why they got him for this. So
Quick
I think
fact check.
well, go ahead.
Quick fact check. He only has 3 number 1 records in his
Wow.
discography as his main artist. Stronger is
Mhm.
Diamond.
Yep.
Gold Digger is 7 times platinum, or 8 times platinum, excuse me. Do you know what the third number 1 is?
Third number one. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Third. Father Stretch My Hands.
No.
Whoa.
Um,
Uh, All Falls Down.
No.
nah,
Oh,
uh, it's probably like a later record. Like what's the one? Power.
No.
Carnival.
Yes, Carnival is the third number
No.
1. It's the
Oh, that
third
makes
number 1.
sense. Yeah, that's a great record. We
Wow.
talked about this. We talked about this before. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
because
Y'all
it
thought,
was.
y'all thought it was a flop.
I didn't say it was a flop.
I
Y'all
don't
thought
think
it
we
was
said
a
Carnival
flop.
was a flop. I think it's the
Y'all
I,
thought
album.
it was a flop.
I didn't
No
say flop.
record.
I didn't say
Power
it was.
actually it maxed out at number 22 on Billboard, despite it being 4 times platinum. Wow, it's interesting.
That's crazy. That's
That,
it's one of the ones.
the time that it came out was probably really tough. I mean, that's when pop was running the airwaves in
Yep.
2010.
A lot
It
of
was.
Katy Perry, a lot of Kesha, a lot of
Yeah.
303.
Oh God, 303. Gold Digger though, fantastic video. The when he cranks his head back,
Is that what it says?
how did he not break his fucking neck? And he would do that in live performances of the song. I'm like, bro, you are going to fucking hurt yourself
Yeah.
doing this, bro. Like that shit is too much. Uh, I mean, everyone remembers 18 years, 18 years. She got one of your kids, got you for 18 years. People still say that shit today.
Yeah. That was like, and it was crazy, just like the commentary on, it was like sports and just black culture at the moment. It's like, and Kanye was one of the, like, it's funny to look in hindsight, but like Kanye was very pro black.
Yeah.
Like very much black familyhood and black homes, and now you look at him, it's like, oh shit, you completely abandoned your message, buddy.
The worst.
I mean, shout out to him and shout out to Kim and everyone in between, but yeah, man,
Every
this
white girl in between.
yeah,
then we had another skit after this. This is the broke five broke skit. And again, this is a through line throughout the whole album. Is
probably
broke
the best
five
skit
broke.
on here.
Say what?
This was my favorite skit, the broke five broke. We
'Cause
ain't got it.
and so we ain't got no car keys, so we ain't driving. And leading into, and again, Kanye recognizing the moment, and he still does this to this day. And I'm not gonna lie, still does this to this day. Getting Playboy Cardi on his songs and stuff like that. Getting who's hot at the moment and making his albums a touch point and a time capsule for what was going on in the world at that point. Drive Slow to me is a huge example of that. That features Paul Wall. Again, at this point, Houston Texas was blowing the fuck up. Still Tippin' was
Mhm.
on radio at this time. Slim Thug
Mhm.
had dropped in, was about to drop an album this year, I think. Or was that 06? Well, there was still Mike Jones at the very least was on top of the swing. Bun B was just coming back out. I think Trill had come out this year.
Yeah,
They
Trill was '05. Paul Wall was '05. Already Platinum was '05. Who was Mike Jones was '05. So that was an entire lane. And Chameleon was '06. There were a couple of Houston artists that came out '06, but '05 was like the real stretch.
yeah,
Man, I just remember this video. He had a lot of videos on this project. Now that I think about it, this video
every
is fucking
single
great though, man. Like the old Vegas, like
yeah,
it's like, dog, it's a time capsule of time. Like I remember going to Vegas back in those days when I was younger, and how Vegas used to look then and how Vegas looks now is so different.
so different.
But it's like, man, like it's just, I don't know. That shit it didn't have the Ti verse on there. That was crazy.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they did add that.
yeah, it was just in the video version.
Yeah,
Yep.
they did add that. It's never been on. It's never to my knowledge ever been on. Well, it wasn't on when I listened to it the other day, but it was never been on streaming at all. It's only been on the video because Ti again was a big deal at that time. They were calling him the Southern Jay-Z. They say he's going to be the next guy up, and Kanye showing that love to him, and they would continue to work together in the next couple of years. I think the big argument with this record, we just talked about this in our actual Discord. Who had the best verse on this record?
I don't know, man. It's me personally. I'm gonna say Kanye.
Really?
I like Kanye's verse on here.
The
Nick,
storytelling, the
yeah,
storytelling.
like it's just like that shit was just it was dope to me. I like how Kanye came off, like, and because it reminded me of me being younger and riding
Yeah.
around with my older homies and my cousins and just the way they used to like how they loved their cars and what cars represented and how
Mhm.
like to this day it resonates with me because it's what my car represents for me. Like, so that's why I like Kanye's verse. Paul Wall verse was hard though. Like I think he surprised everybody.
Yeah.
That was one thing that was dope about his verse. But yeah, I think Kanye is my favorite.
I gotta say, Paul Wall, the disco ball in my mouth insinuates I'm balling. It's just like incredible, like range. And just like I think Paul Wall's verse is great to me because he understood that moment. He said, "This is gonna be the biggest album that I'm gonna be on in my life, and I gotta make sure that they remember who I am." And I think Paul Wall is just such a great salesman that he said, "Let me just sell them on who I am," and this was kind of his mission statement. What about you, Mark? Who you think had the best verse on this? If you say GLC, I'm just gonna just cut you out the call.
Why would I say why would I say GLC? I'm gonna pick the verse that allows the ladies to be introduced to the CL Mercedes. That's Paul Wall's. That's Paul Wall's verse. Would I say it's as stunning as like an introduction as like Lupe's? No, because from my personal experience, this was the first time that I've ever heard Lupe. I did not hear the Fahrenheit 115 mixtapes until afterward. But I already knew what Paul Wall could do. Still Tippin' is a 10 out of 10 verse and a 10 out of 10 introduction into an artist like Paul Wall for me. So if I had to really look between the two verses, I'm going Still Tippin' as far as something that like really blew my mind, but Drive Slow
Yeah.
was amazing.
I mean, I'm crawling similar to an ant because I'm low to the earth. Is still like, I
Come on,
mean,
man.
how could
People's
you,
feelings get hurt. Come on, man.
how could
Word
you
for
beat
word.
that? Next song on here, no skips, by the way. I
No,
listened to this like no skips at all. My Way Home actually doesn't feature Kanye at all. It features Common, who was also on College Dropout. This is a song he's only on by himself. This is like an interlude. This is more so like an interlude into the next part of this. Very timely and very very thematic to have Gil Scott Heron sampled on this because of what the next song is. But I mean, it's Common doing what he does, man. They got me trapped like R. Kelly. I bet this is
yeah.
second R. Kelly reference on this album.
God.
That's crazy, but this is when R. Kelly was still like in the zeitgeist and like he had trapped in the closet and like this wasn't. We weren't thinking about R. Kelly as like.
I hope y'all got y'all players cards.
Yeah, R. Kelly was popping.
And then it leads right into again transitions. Shout out John Bryan. Transitions perfectly into crack music. Then you get this is like the first song on this project that sounds like a rap song. It sounds like some old like KRS boom bap type shit. Crack music featuring the game. Kanye
Yes.
in understanding the moment, understanding what's going on, working with the game. Of course, the game was on. He produced Dreams for the game. We talked about that earlier this year on the Black Print or ThrowBLKs, and now you have him on this album. What's up, Josh?
I'm just tripping because now I'm thinking about this song and I remember I reviewed this album for my like high school newspaper or something.
Oh wow.
And I had that line, crack raised the murder rate in DC and Maryland, and we invested in that. So it's like we got Merrill Lynch. And I
Yeah.
remember a teacher came up to me like, why would you put that in the school newspaper? I'm like, it's true. And again, Kanye throwing out those nuggets are just, making us think a little bit deeper about the society we're in. Like
Mhm.
I hadn't had a rapper do that to me personally ever.
Mhm.
And for Kanye to be that artist in my generation, it was special, it was different.
And again, we gotta recognize and realize, like, no disrespect to anybody doing it right now. Niggas is not talking like this on number one Billboard selling album. This is the album that 800,000 people bought. This ain't streaming shit. They physically
Yeah.
shelled out money to, but this is person by person shelled out to buy this album to hear him say shit like this, and you don't get that no more. He's shouting out Black Panthers and Gil Scott and all of this stuff, and it resonates. Like you listen to this, you fucking throw your fucking fist up at this shit. This shit,
Like if he was to perform this nigga, what? Oh my god!
bro. I would.
Like,
Regardless of my feelings of him right now, if he performs this song tomorrow, I'm going crazy. I'm
oh
singing.
my gosh!
Do you think he remembers it?
I
As
don't
far as
know.
like verse for verse,
Uh,
he's gonna need a back. I'll allow a backing track for crack music if he says, all right, I'll do it.
I mean, the game probably remember his verses. Remember the
I wish
game?
that verse made the album. The verse
Yeah.
that he had to put it on Ghost Unit because obviously Late Registration comes out. He's only on the hook. But
Yeah.
I wish that verse made the album. That would have been amazing.
I there's a couple theories why I didn't make it on the album from people back in the day on forums. I don't know if anyone, because the thing about forums back in the day is that like there would actually be people from the industry on these fucking forums dropping nuggets under aliases and not, like in Twitter it's like very much front facing. So if you drop a nugget, like if you drop information, like they know who it is. But there was theories on SOHH back in the day that one of them was Kanye wasn't trying to shake shit up, and I guess someone like Jay probably told him like take Game's verse off because we're not trying to get in the middle of all of that shit right now.
I
Keep him
forgot
as
they had shit too. Fuck.
Yeah,
05 was
like-
great. 05, summer 05 was something, man.
yeah, and there was another one that like his verse was so long. His verse was kind of long, and they were just like
Yep.
the album's already kind of long. Cut his verse, and we could just get to the next song because it doesn't really like you already got to it. I like to think of the former as being true because of all the politics around 50 and Jay and Game and all that stuff, and they were just like, you don't want to get involved in all this shit. You coming out the same day Tony Ayo coming out, just cut his verse out. I like to believe that theory. I don't know though. We'll never know the truth. Who knows? The Mexican line, how the Mexicans say we're just trying to party homes is crazy. It's a little casual racism right there.
That's the 2000s for you.
Next song, one of the most effectual songs on here. Well, I mean, I guess there's another one on here that's probably even more than this, but Roses, Kanye produced with John Bryan, samples Rosie by Bill Withers. Amazing song, man. It's sad, bro. It's really sad. This is a sad song.
Yeah, no, it's just again, a very emotional album. Like when you get into the crux of it. But yeah, Roses is one of those ones. Just even the stories telling and just relating that to your personal life, it's like, damn, you just start to like tug at the heartstrings.
One thing that I didn't recognize, or I don't even know how I didn't remember this, that's Patti LaBelle at the end.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
We break.
Like, how did he even find this album costs a lot of money, all right? There's no, because she's not credited like featuring Patti LaBelle on here, but she's on here. But this is a song that talks about the American healthcare system and like how much of a struggle that they're having trying to help his family members. Is like Magic Johnson got a cure for AIDS and all the broke motherfucker passed away. You telling me right now if my grandmother's in the NBA right now she'd be okay? Like, these are questions that niggas was asking.
My favorite line of the song is so
Don't
many aunties, we could have an auntie
The auntie
team.
team. The auntie team.
Still all time top tier worst line. But the thing about it is like, and I heard somebody, I can't remember which critic said this, but like he said a couple of months ago, just like it might have been last year. It was just like people like artists like Drake, they love a groaner. They love a line where it's just like why the fuck did you say that? But it's just like I think that's where Kanye and Drake are like the most intertwined and they're the most similar. They love to put a line like this in their songs where it's just like, what? Why did you say that shit? But it ends up being the most repeated line out of the whole thing, the most memorable line because it's just so out of left field. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And it's like so many aunties that we can have an auntie team is just like, I might not like it, but it's like, I'm gonna say that line because it's just so fucking memorable. It's so ridiculous that he fucking said it.
Kanye is good for those. I remember on College Dropout, one of my favorite when people would ask which one of your favorite Kanye lines, the most random one that I could think of that I just love so much, and he said it on "We Don't Care." He was like, "Some of the kids dyslexic, their favorite 50 Cent song, 12 questions." I said, you just really sit there and think. I'm like, who randomly thinks about? But those are the ones that stick with you more than like the lyrical miracle. And I guess that's a lesson for artists when they're making music. Try to have more of those. Trying to have more of those things that stick with people more than just impressing them. I guess.
I don't know, Mark. I feel like there are too much lines like that where it just all sounds like the same. Like it's too many niggas that's giving us the groaners.
But the groaners, I feel like that's what people look at 20 years later, and then they have the take of, well, we didn't really look at Kanye as this incredible rapper. I'm like, no, you did. I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people did in most cases. I would not go retrospective. I would not go retroactively say, oh yeah, we didn't look at Kanye as an MC. Like I wouldn't believe that.
I mean, now we got gripping all of my balls. I got on move type shit.
A lot of groaners. All rappers mostly
Is that a
groaners.
groaner? I mean,
yeah, gripping all of my balls. I got to move type shit that's line of the year to me. Shit. Next song, another kind of interlude here. Bring Me Down featuring Brandy. They actually had a late registration documentary or a short little documentary on MTV, and it actually chronicles her recording this for him at the time. Really cool. I don't know if you can find it still. I'm just remembering this from memory, but I don't know if it's on YouTube. But there was like a short, like hour documentary of the making of the album. They actually had footage on there that I don't think that I saw repurposed on Genius. I don't think there's a lot of. Is there a lot of late registration stuff on Genius, or is it they just kind of like jump?
Just fast forward.
Yeah, they jumped to graduation, I think.
Yeah, because
they
I
did
don't
a
know
little bit of late registration and showed him like at a concert. What he was helping his mom with in '06, and then it went to graduation. But that was mainly it. Didn't really get too much late registration.
So we get here. A lot of the lines on this were from a freestyle that he had on Tim Westwood. Like songs on here that you could have probably found some of these lyrics before. Again, I have to say, since Pac passed away, most of you rappers don't even deserve a track from me. I'm like, damn, who is he talking about here? Who he talking about? Shit.
I was gonna say if you ever did want to listen to the original, this is probably one of the few records that he actually was sitting on for a few years before he ended up using it for late registration. It's called Have It Your Way. I believe it's the original. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll be able to hear like a very bare bones version of this before he ends up not only heightening it up with a lot of the instruments, but also adding Brandy into the chorus. Because Have It Your Way has a completely different hook, but you'll hear some of the lines in the original before it ends up being what you hear on late registration.
I'm gonna be real. Kill me if you want to. I'm not saying they're bad songs, but if there was ever skips on this album, it would be Bring Me Down and Addiction.
Wow, that's crazy.
Stop the madness. Addiction?
Bring Me Down is my shit. I like Bring Me Down a lot. Addiction, I could see it, but I like Addiction. I don't think this album has skips.
I said if you were to skip, if you were just trying to get to the end, if you just trying to get to your favorite songs.
I like Addiction too because it kind of like it was kind of the precursor to where Kanye was kind of going with music, like a little more boppy, housey, like kind of just had it was a little more left field than anything else.
How the hell? I don't think you would be able to sample My Funny Valentine today. Like I just don't think it would happen. Popular song, Etta James or whoever owns her publishing today probably be like, fuck hell no. I think he was even able to cuss on here. I don't think he'd be able to cuss on here if you try to sample that today. Hell no. Not to mention he probably gets like no money from any of these samples on here. But Addiction, of course, John Bryan in his bag. I'm not gonna lie. Like it sounds again like to Josh's point, it sounds housey, very minimal beat, like not too much behind it until you get to the end with Tony Williams and all. And I think somebody else on, I forgot who it was, but they're like vocalizing and shit. Really groovy song. I just feel like I would skip it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to get to, the next skit, of course, but we're trying to get to everyone wants to hear what Jay's gonna say. All right. on the Diamonds remix. Kanye doesn't put the original version on the actual album. He puts the original version at the fucking end. This was the first video, by the way, and he went to like Rome or some shit to film it. It was
He did multiple videos for this too.
yeah,
But yeah, this video was crazy.
like he did like the whole like and again, this song is literally just his answer or his like I guess his like why JY why are you doing this to us why are you like I'm telling you man listening to this song today with the clarity of hindsight is so weird that he did it. It's just as weird as Big Brother is to me in terms of discography.
I mean, another just like a lot of social commentary on here too, though. Talking about diamonds, like
Yeah.
niggas losing arms, legs, limbs for real. Like he just was like the shit he was talking about. I'm like, yo, like Kanye. I would have never thought about these things if it wasn't for Kanye.
Yeah.
I would never thought about blood diamonds. Like I would have never thought about fucking I don't know, just certain topics that just wouldn't have been broached in hip hop ever, and he broached them.
Yeah.
So yeah, beyond the Jay-Z and all that shit, I was just like, yo, Kanye really kind of like opened my eyes up to shit.
Yeah, and again, he actually doubled down on the diamonds motif and the themes and stuff on the remix version. And then Jay's like, "I got it from here, yay, damn." Let me talk about how I cut my man's out the deal. Let me tell you how to do this. Jay is doing a victory lap here. He literally says, "The chain remains, the gang is intact, the name is mine. I take blame for that."
Hey, hands are up.
Back. That was a bar. Yeah, nigga, did people get that double entendre?
The pressure's on, but guess who ain't going to crack?
Part of me, I had to laugh at that. He's talking about Petey Crack.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was. He straight up dissed Petey on the song because Petey was the one like, yo, you're fucked up. Like that's crazy.
That's crazy. Rocket Forza on the Rocket Departure.
I had to get off the boat.
Like a walk on water. Like
the boat was another thing because remember, Dame was already talking about Jay was on the boat on the yacht with Leo and them. And he says, I had to get off the boat so I could walk on water and become God. He's crazy. Like Jay is a crazy motherfucker, bro. He said, difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. I do this in my sleep. I sold kilos of coke, so I'm guessing I can sell CDs. And let me tell you, I don't know if he sold many CDs as the president of Def Jam. I'm just gonna be real with y'all. Other than like Jeezy and Rick Ross, I don't know if he sold too many CDs while he was there.
We can cop Tierra Marie?
Bro, she was one of the biggest flops of any new artist that they had, bro. Get out of here, yo.
You ain't cop Hector El Bambino?
He names. Listen, I'm gonna name the roster because he names them. He says Kanye's "You Got Me," Freeway and Foxy, YG's Tierra Marie, Petey Watch Me. Bleak could be one hit away his whole career. As long as I'm alive, he's a millionaire.
Responding to 534's numbers, I was like, okay, hey, I like 534.
Come on, man. The dynasties like my money last 3 lifetimes. I lasted under 1. Okay, like the Rockefeller was effectually defunct by the time Jadakiss was on Rockefeller in 2010. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like there wasn't one, man. The diamond is forever. I've been minding this forever. Now the Louis Vuitton Dom's timing couldn't be better. People lined up to see the Titanic sink, and instead we rose up from the ash like a phoenix. If you're waiting for the end of the dynasty sign, it would seem like forever is a mighty long time. I'm young, bitches. Good night.
Would you have been pissed if you were Kanye? I mean, you have probably one of the top anticipated verses from Jay, but you're just like, this nigga just whooped my ass.
Not even just whoop my ass. You never believed in me, and now you acting like you did. You never believed in me, and now you acting like you did. He goes more into like this verse in this song on Big Brother. Like he actually, the Big Brother is kind of a response to this record on Graduation, and this is like their first kind of real back and forth. We're rappers now because like the bounce wasn't really like nothing for real, and this was like their first sound. I mean, to your point, yeah, Mark, he whipped his ass, but it was supposed to be like. He treated this record, and it's a great verse, don't get me wrong, but he treated it like it was like, let me just respond to all the critics and just tell them why I was right for the way that I treated Dame and all them people that helped me get on. And I think that like looking back, it's kind of icky in hindsight, you know, especially with how his presidency at Def Jam ended.
Well, he got 2 of those that year too. He also got Go Crazy remix that he also pretty much has. How many bars he had on there? There was like the one that like the early one on the internet that I always heard, and then there was like the extended version that had the entire verse.
The extended version ends up being on mixtapes.
Yeah, the one that had it pretty much starts at like the extended version starts at 80s baby, master of Reaganomics, something something, everything's college, blah 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 blah. So that's where the extended version starts. But then the one that you heard on like radio would end right at "Don't go crazy when you hear the boy Jay-Z," and it goes straight into
Mind,
the hook.
mind you, he was only a fucking retired because he lost that beef. But I digress. Let's go on to We Major. 8-minute song. Kanye always says that this was his Stevie Wonder keys in the songs in the key of life kind of rendition. I say this is one of my favorite Kanye songs of all time.
It's a good song. Really though, held his own actually. Great
Yeah.
hook. Nas verse was great. Was it Tony Williams on the end singing?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that shit. Yeah, it's a really another beautiful song.
Um, I mean, you could say that Kanye actually made history too. He makes a big point of this, and the sequencing of this is not a mistake. He says, "I'm one of the only people that got Jay-Z and Nas on my album." And we're what 4 years removed from that huge whole thing. I think they had been over it at that point. But I mean,
What's the I Declare War date? Hold on.
I Declare War was wasn't it after this?
I Declare War concert was wait, what the fuck is this? They showing recent I Declare War. Hold on.
And I
Jay-Z.
Declare War was a concert where people thought that Jay was going to reignite the beef with Nas for some strange reason and bring 50 Cent into and basically diss 50 Cent too. It ends up being a concert where he brings Nas out and they actually squash the beef publicly. A really big moment in hip hop, honestly.
That was October 27th. So still got like 2 months to go until I Declare War happens.
Crazy moment. I remember seeing that fucking picture and be like, no fucking way. He said he left condoms in your baby mom's baby seat. Like, there's no fucking way. But grown man shit. And this was a big moment to have Nas on there. I survived the livest niggas around. Lasted longer than half of you clowns. I'm like, you still might have been kind of taking shots at Jay on the actual verse.
Hey man, I earned my victory. You know what? Fuck it. Let me discuss it for a couple of years until Jay says, "Hey, you wanna relax just a little bit? You wanna be cool again?"
I used to cook before I had the game. Took either way, my chance came like Sam Cooke. Fantastic fucking verse. Kanye killed it. 7 minutes long. What I think this is my favorite track on the album though. It's coming later. But this was up there, man. I fucking love this. Just the sound. Again, this is not like a hip hop song. This sounds like these niggas is rapping over, and I feel like artists like MF Doom would do this too. They would just rap over what seemed like to be like a long going like instrumental that just didn't seem like it had anything to do with anything. That's where it took it from. This is like as hip hop as it really gets. Like I fucking love this song. But I put it in probably top 3 songs on this album.
Okay.
Then after that, is this the Broke Slaves? No, that's the last. That's the last skit. The Broke Slaves skit is my favorite one. We get another skit from Broke Fire Broke. We get an update, and then we get into Hey Mama, which is it hits a lot different. I say that this song hit a lot different now than it did in 2005. I will never forget graduation time. His first performance after his mom passed away. I think it was the Grammys. He premiered the Yeezys at that show.
Yeah.
And he performed "Hey Mama" with the added. He had an added bridge to the song. The song's amazing. It's just a perfect song. Not even just rap. It's just a perfect song.
No, it's great and it's fun. It's like songs like this is why we can never discount what he's brought to the game. Like I hate just the way he's been so villainized lately because it's like, yo, like this is who he is. This is his true artistry.
Yeah.
So yeah, great song, great, Mother's Day bop.
Yep.
And it's just like, it sums up how a lot of people feel about their parents or their mom. Like it's like, yo, this is how I feel. Like I don't know, it just that song just makes me feel good inside every time I hear it.
And another record that he sat on for years. Like he had that from at least 2001. It didn't make College Dropout, but I'm sure that was purposeful because I'm sure it had a better place in late registration. But another record that he just sat on and waited to perfect it and to be able to present it in this moment was something that was crazy.
He actually performed it on Oprah. He was on Oprah with his mom.
Yep.
And he debuted the song. The roll off for this album is like super weird. He debuted the song on Oprah, and his mom was there, and I guess she hadn't heard the final version. But I think that video is actually on YouTube. You could go check that out if you want to. After this, we get the Celebration. My top 2 song on this album.
Really?
This
Okay.
song fucking I love this song. It's so fucking late in the damn album. The beat is one of my favorite beats of all time. It's
Great fucking beat.
of all of the songs or the production on this album, this is like the most kind of traditional Kanye of all of them. Like this actually sounds like it could have landed on Dropout or one of his mixtapes at the time.
Mhm.
Again, it's the I think the drawl that he has on it, like the way he delivers the verses, I think is very much like not like anything I've ever or I had ever heard before. Like, why is y'all lying, follow? You never did this before. Stop that. Oh, you want some Patron?
Drunk.
Got that.
like,
Yeah.
like, come on. I promise y'all, you fine and all, and your girlfriend, she kind of raw, but she not like you. I mean, come on, man. I'm a Thug fan. This is the type of shit that he would do. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. It's that type of pocket that he would have been in.
Even some
Mm.
Tyler. That sounds like that's kind of like a Tyler pocket too. There's so many
Yeah.
different influences that you can get from a record like this.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely. I like this record a lot. It's not in my top, but it's definitely one of the records. It's like it just again feels good. It's like it's just him just talking shit, but it's like the pocket he's in, the sample, or not, I don't even know if that's a sample. That might just be background vocals from Tony Williams. Yeah, I'm like,
It's a
yeah,
sample.
I'm like,
It's a
that's a
sample.
sample. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah,
It's the one I would say it's the one song on here that if you have to listen to it, it probably got the least amount of changes from John Bryan. Only thing he probably added was like the synthesizer shit at the end, but everything else sounded like Kanye just kind of kept it as it was. And I think I love it because again, it is very celebratory and coming right off of Hey Mama. It's like you're like the album goes like low from like Roses and then it comes right back up after We Major. It's just like all right, let's end it perfectly. You know what I'm saying? Like the sequencing on this is unlike any other rap album that you. I can't name many rap albums that I've heard that have just great sequencing, and I think that's a lost art. Truly, like I was listening to like the Lotto album, and I was just like I think that her sequencing is really good, but I think that there's no real like substance behind a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like the sequencing can be good, but like it has to be rolling somewhere. You know what I mean? And as much as I think that album's good, I thought that like this should be your example of how to do something with substance, and you can mix in things that are kind of party records with it. But after this is my favorite song on the whole album, Gone.
oh, I
Uh,
was gonna say that's my favorite song too. Yeah,
yeah, featuring Cameron and Consequence. I I don't know who got the best verse. I'm just gonna be a stan and say Cameron did. But I wouldn't be mad at you if you said Consequence because he fucking snapped too. I wouldn't be mad if you said Kanye's last verse
Yep.
the
because he
second verse is crazy. Which y'all niggas can get is a job for me. Maybe you can get intern. I can show you how to cook up summer in the winter. He got off.
yeah, like
He got off.
he went fucking crazy. This was the song that when they had the previews, remember earlier in the show I said Apple used to have previews. This was the preview that everybody was waiting for because Cameron, again, Kanye kind of like overreaching Jay's enemies at the time, overreaching, going to people that Jay wasn't particularly cool with, but saying, you know what, Cameron gave me my big break. That's my big brother. I'm gonna put him on this record. Kanye would then show up for Cameron, favor for a favor later on that year in Purple Haze. Which can we do that at the end of the year? Purple Haze.
We should.
Like
Another
20 in December. Yeah.
this is it's turning 20 this year. Beautiful album, but he did Purple Haze and he came back and did Gone for Kanye here. I mean, come on, knock knock, who's there? Killer Cam, Killer who? Killer Cam, Hustler, Gorilla, Grind the Gorilla True. Come on, oh my chinchilla blue blue. Come on, man. You ever dealt with a dealer with his deal, man? We going to the dealer. Woo! Come on, man. Cameron, top 5 rappers of all time. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, nigga.
Niggas said niggas still do it. Puff puff pass. Niggas still do it. Like, damn, what the fuck?
Pull up in a truck fast and I tell them, hey, back to the touched up jack. Y'all niggas want to get a carousel bell him. The old man just gonna tell him it's too late. He's gone.
Ding 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 ding.
Sample Otis Redding. It's too late. Kanye and Otis Redding have a very special relationship. He sampled Otis Redding a lot of times. Of course, he's again really important sample or really important artist for him. But again, it's like we strive at home. I ride on Chrome. Come on, man. It's just niggas rapping, bro. And that's why it's a great song. Because again, you go through a whole album of just symphonic, classical, analog type music, and then it's just like, you know what, we're just gonna end the album on bars. And I think that's like the best way to end the album. Just like let's just end it on rapping with like two of some of the best lyricists out at that time. And Consequence ending every line with "gone" or play on the word "gone" is fucking crazy. Who rhymes about Calgon, bro? Like I had to look up what Calgon was before I did that shit, man. Like Consequence, you forget that from how annoying he is, like outwardly and on social media, you forget how cold he was back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
Forgotten member of Tribe Called Quest. A lot of people were mad that he replaced people in Tribe Called Quest, but he fucking snapped. He snaps on here. But to Josh's point, if you don't say Cameron's verse, Kanye goes for at least like 20, 30 bars at the end, ending off the song. If they ever flip sides like Anakin, you'll sell anything, including the mannequin. Come on, man. They got a new bitch now
Lubitsch.
for Aniston. Hold on, I handle it. Don't start panicking. Stay calm. Shorty's at the door because they want more inspiration for their life, their souls, and their songs. They say, sorry, Mr. West is gone.
And to think,
Perfect.
Cam's gonna get shot in 3 months, and he's about to say, "I seen a nigga throw the diamond up when the shots was fired."
Yo, 2005 is a crazy
2005 is
year.
crazy.
Wow.
It's a crazy fucking year, bro. Like it really is. Like 2005 is one of the craziest years, just period in rap and music and life, period. Because I mean, we still in the war. We've reviewed a lot of albums for 2005 or 2004 this year alone, and
Yeah.
we've been able to mine a lot of fucking information from that because that was a year where I feel like all of us became who we really were at that time because we lived through all that shit. Like people don't recognize how crazy that. And I guess 24 is probably up there in terms of crazy ass year, just in terms of everything going on this year. But if there was a comparison to that, I'd probably say this year is probably closest to, not in like music release order, but like just crazy shit happening, is 2005. But Gone, my favorite song on the album, and then we reaching into the final songs. Diamonds from Sierra Leone, the original version of this, which had the video. I like this better than the remix.
Yeah.
There was a take online a couple of years ago that said not only is the last verse on Diamonds Kanye's greatest verse of all time, but it's also one of the most important rap verses ever. Do you feel that way?
Trying to
Uh,
remember.
Sick
I
about
was
awards because nobody killed me. Only player that got robbed and kept all his jewelry. At least keeps
Oh
trying to talk
yeah.
sense. Him 30 minutes later, he's no convincing him. Murky ass for the international asshole. Claims about what he is owed. Throw a tantrum like he is 3 years old. That entire verse at the very end.
he
I
let
don't
us
know.
know what he was gonna keep doing. He was letting us know he's gonna get. I don't. Yeah, to your point, Josh. I don't know if it's most important, but I definitely think it was. I think just him like laying it bare, like this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like this is legitimately who I am, and like he still talks about the rock, like the rock breakup on this song. The rock breakup really did something to his brain chemistry at this time because he talks about it on this song too. Talks about it on. Actually, he talks about the rock breakup on here more than he talks about the Blood Diamonds on the remix, which is crazy to me. He doesn't really talk about it at all on this song, but I would say it's one of his best verses though, for sure.
Mhm.
No doubt about it. I mean, he goes like what 32 bars here, really really long. And again, this is like the album where if you thought Kanye wasn't rapping really well on College Dropout, which I don't think is his best lyrical album, he makes up for it on this. I think he even raps better on here than he does on Graduation. Like
Yeah, I agree. I
like
agree.
like Graduation, Graduation is more really like a pop mainstream album. It's not really all
Yeah.
about like the lyrics on that at all. He's
Yeah.
keeps it very simple to that. I say he's better than College Dropout, but confidence wise, he's there. This is probably his best rap album that he's ever done.
Hmm.
Ever. It's either that or Pablo. But then with Pablo, it's like the thing that kills me about Pablo is that I can tell who is
The writer.
yeah, I could tell, but like he don't even try and change it up on Pablo on this. At least I can be like, okay, I can tell he wrote this at this point. But I would say this is probably his best rap one. And then we lead to Late, which is if you're listening to the regular version like I was, this is the last song on the album. Uh Kind of just like a straight up, I'll be late for that. Kind of wrapping up it feels like the credits.
Yeah, let's have fun with it.
Yeah, he's having a lot of fun. He sounded like I always thought he was drunk when he made this song, bro. Because he sounds twisted on this song, yo. He sounds real twisted. He sounds like it's just like a fucking late night. He's trying to finish up the album, but you don't get that type of fun from there's like that not that type of fun from him anymore. Not that type of clarity or brevity in the music that he makes now. And this is just a fun record, man. Like a lot of people love I don't know no words that can rhyme with that. All of that stuff. Like it was the wittiness that I feel like is missing. Not even just from him. Like I don't know if anyone's like that witty no more. Like who's witty today? Boss Man D-Lo? He's pretty witty.
I wouldn't say he's witty.
I don't know if D-Lo's saying 5 hours later, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Go ahead, rhyme with it.
Yeah, there ain't too many witty rappers out right now.
Ain't nobody. Fabulous was witty at the time. Jadakiss was witty. Ain't nobody really witty, man. I mean, you can't get away with two dykes that look Christina Milian like today, but
Witty rappers are like the Detroit rappers. Like I think about like fucking what's my nigga that's in jail? The rapper Peasy. Fuck, why am I blanking on his name?
I think that's in jail. I mean, it doesn't really narrow the
Yeah.
the list when it comes
Detroit,
to
actually. God, why am I blanking on his name? Flint rapper, raps for Peasy, he's in jail. Someone out there knows his name.
yeah, they're gonna correct you in the comments. But
Yeah, this is
we
gonna hurt me.
we lead to again the end of the album, and it's great, man. It's great. I love this album. It's perfect. It's perfect. Late Registration. I'm stamping it. Perfect. I'm all stamp it again. Probably the best album we've done on this series so far.
Really?
Rio the Young OG.
Oh,
Okay. That's witty.
He's witty as hell. He has funny lines. Witty.
What about Babytron? Is he witty?
Yeah, he's in that.
But you gotta be witty and like good
is
though.
V's witty?
V's is witty.
V's is witty. V's is pretty witty.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, V's is witty.
Is Doug witty?
No.
Doug's so entertaining. Doug just makes me laugh.
Doug's not witty. It's the way he sounds that might make it sound like he witty, but he's not witty. But that's Late Registration. Classic album. I think this will not be the last Kanye album we do ever. I think listening to this, I was like, I would really love to talk about Graduation and get our views on that too, because it's such a short album.
Mhm.
I think coming from this like hour and a half monstrosity in a good way, you get to a tight 12 song album that's like 50 minutes long, and that seemed intentional too at the time because it was something that you could keep listening to, and it was like one of the first streaming albums, like big streaming albums that had ever come out was Graduation. 07 was when it was like, okay, you can now stream these albums. So maybe one day we'll get to that. Not sure what we'll do next. We're getting into that spooky season. I gotta find like a good October album for us to do. But that was it.
We still got the tour next month. It's
The tour.
gonna be turning 10 next month.
Yes, we're gonna be doing Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan and Rich Gang, the tour. So if you can't find this album, wink, you know where to find this album. Wink. So just go listen to the tour. It's not on streaming services. I'm working on a special guest for this. He said that he'll probably have time to do it. Just gotta nail down a good moment to do it. The only issue is of course we're moving to a new studio and we're building a studio right now, so we got to figure out a way to get him on the show. So we'll figure that out, and when we do, we'll let you know who that guy is or girl, who knows who it could be. But we're gonna be doing the tour. I can't wait for this. I cannot wait to do this project.
It's great timing, the tour featuring Young Thug, Rich Homie Quan, and YSL Woody.
Yeah.
Nah,
It's a great time.
Woody right now.
I don't got nothing to say about that nigga right now, man. He's crazy as hell. But again, another formative album. That mixtape came out literally 3 months before I moved here. I was writing for Complex at the time, so I got a lot of stories about that as well. And it's gonna be really awesome. So we'll brief you guys on when that's coming out. And of course, if you haven't heard the most recent episode of Black Print, that's coming out. Me and Mark are going to be doing Overly Conversating. We're going to have a lengthy Q&A episode of the Black Print coming in about a week and a half. So bear with us. We're moving. This will probably be the last Black Print related thing that we do remotely. So celebrate that. And we'll see you guys next time on ThrowBLKs. For Josh and MC, I am J5. And you guys have a safe and blessed rest of your summer. Peace out.